perfumes that men love on women. Honorable mention to Pink Sugar by Aquilina. It would be on this list, but I just don't have a bottle to showcase to you all. But it's a cheapie. You can get that thing for under $20, $25, like the big bottle of it. And it's a long-lasting sweet fragrance that smells like strawberries. I believe there's also some raspberries. On top of that, there's also vanilla, and then there's caramel, I believe. So it's this very sweet fragrance. If you live in cold weather, it's absolutely perfect. If you're a teen with only like $30 in your pocket right now, you can easily grab that and know you're gonna smell amazing. But again, wear it when it's cold. Do not wear it when it's hot. All right, so now we've got Versace Bright Crystal. Now this is for the warm weather. This fragrance smells like pomegranates. There's lotus and magnolia. It's a fruity floral fragrance. But what I love most about this scent is it's almost icy cool. Specifically in the opening of this fragrance, when you smell it, it has this really refreshing sort of vibe to it. And the way that I think about it is, you know, when you chew mint gum and then you drink ice water right after, and it's just this really refreshing feeling that goes all throughout your body. That's kind of like the opening of Versace Bright Crystal. Not that this smells minty, but when you give it a try, you'll know that icy cool effect that I'm talking about. But this is really lovely, and this is a huge compliment magnet. I remember I was getting DMs from men and lesbians about this fragrance, and they were like, have you reviewed Versace Bright Crystal? I remember I smelled that on my date and I was going wild, or it makes me weak in the knees, or like this shit is just so sexy. And I mean, look, on this list, you're gonna see like designer fragrances, you're gonna see some niche scents, but all of these have that mass appealing quality to them. And Versace Bright Crystal is just a no-brainer. Now, the downside to Versace Bright Crystal is the performance, all right? It's about like noticeable for about 3 to 4 hours. Now, if you spray it on clothes, it will last longer. And you have to keep in mind that you can go nose blind to this fragrance fairly easily, but other people will still be able to detect it on you. So if you want better performance, I would say go with Versace Bright Crystal Absolute, but they don't really smell exactly the same. This also has pomegranate, lotus, and magnolia, but it has an added raspberry note. But this one kind of smells more fresh out of the shower. It kind of has more of a shampoo vibe than the original does. And by the way, I'll put a discount link for all these fragrances in the description box below in the comment section in case you want to give them a try or, you know, compare prices. But Versace Bright Crystal, an absolute banger. And the last thing I'll say is do not buy these fragrances for retail price. Get them at a discount site because, for example, I remember seeing this at Sephora for like $115, $120, and I looked at a discount site and you can get the full-size bottle for like 75 bucks. So that should help save some money in case you guys weren't aware of some discount sites. But next is Mon Guerlain EDP. And isn't this thing just so freaking beautiful? I love this fragrance. It smells like lavender and vanilla. All right, but as I've said, this smells like femininity in a bottle. Hands down. There's just something very attractive about this fragrance. It's not like teenage, flirty, sexy, you know what I mean? Like it's not like that type of fragrance. It smells like a woman, or like a woman in her prime, you know? It's just like she's got all her shit handled. It's such a good fragrance. This scent right here isn't the best in terms of performance. Like this would noticeably last around 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, but the projection is really nice. This is a fragrance that people will be able to smell when you enter the room, when it's like, I don't even want to say freshly applied, because let's say you apply it at your house, then you go drive to whatever event you're going to or a hangout spot you're going to. People will still be able to smell this on you in your scent bubble, most definitely. But the performance itself doesn't push past 6 hours, at least that I've noticed. Yeah, oh my God. This is just like, it's like you smell it and you respect her. It's so, so good. All right, now don't roll your eyes, okay? Black Opium by YSL. This gets a lot of hate on the internet from women. And honestly, the thing is, I feel like that hate is, it's not that it's unwarranted because everyone's opinion is valid, right? But it's not like there's not that many people that are hating on this fragrance. But of course, whenever there's like a small group that's talking loud about something, it makes it seem bigger than it actually is. So the kind of things you'll hear about Black Opium is that it's overrated. Every girl wears it. It's basic and all that kind of jargon. But to be totally real with you, this is a popular fragrance, which is why it gets hate, but it's not as commonly worn outside. You know what I mean? Like when I go to parties, clubs, bars, all of that, I pass by hundreds of girls. Not like if I pass by 100 girls, 95 of them aren't wearing this. Not even 5 of them, not even 3 of them are wearing this fragrance. Like people like to equivalate, or is that a word? That is a word. Sorry, it's in the morning right now. But people like to say that Black Opium is to girls like Dior Sauvage is to guys. But to be honest, I don't believe that. For me, whenever I pass by a group of guys, I always smell Dior Sauvage. I find Sauvage way more worn by men than Black Opium is by women. All right, so that's just my take on it and what I've observed with my personal experience. But there's a reason why this thing is popular, okay? It's popular because ever since it came out, it's had anybody attracted to women in a chokehold. It is just this very sexy, sweet fragrance that smells like coffee and vanilla, and then there's some florals added into it. But this is really a scent that if you're a beginner and you live in cold weather, you want to buy a designer fragrance, you don't know anything about perfumes yet, but you want to wear something that you're going to feel confident wearing because you're going to enjoy it. And then also something that when you go to a party or you just go wherever, people are just turning heads because your perfume smells really good. Black Opium is definitely still relevant. You got to give her flowers, you know, like when you hear on the internet that it's basic and everybody wears it, it's just not true. That is way too dramatized. And the second point is when people say that this smells like old lady. All right, that's a big skin chemistry thing. If it smells like old lady on somebody else, that's fine, but don't let that stop you from wanting to try this yourself, because this might smell absolutely divine on you. And if you're stopping yourself from trying it because some lady or some girl on the internet's like, it smells like old lady, it means it smells like old lady on her. All right, it's not the same for everybody. I've worn this. My sister has worn this. This has been something I've sprayed on other women that have come to smell things in my collection. And it has always been like, boom, like literally a zinger. Such an amazing fragrance. And it is still sexy till this day. So again, to the masculine nose, this is hot. All right, next up, we've got another cheapie. This is Victoria's Secret Bombshell Magic. And this is actually my girlfriend's fragrance. And let me tell you, I was not really expecting much. The thing is, she didn't tell me she was wearing a new scent. I picked her up and I asked her, like, are you wearing a Trep Revs by Louis Vuitton? And that's like a $250 fragrance. So I thought she was wearing that layered with something else. She's like, no, guess again. And I couldn't guess what it was because I've never smelled this fragrance before, you know? So she tells me that it's Victoria's Secret Bombshell Magic. And I'm like, that's like a berry type of fragrance, you know? So like this is a blackberry scent, and I believe there's peony, so there's some florals in it, and then there's some vanilla and some patchouli. To be real with you, I don't pick up on patchouli and vanilla that much. This is definitely more of like a blackberry dominant fragrance, and that is why I love it. Now, just a quick disclaimer here, this is not a dupe of a Trep Revs. This is not a dupe of that Louis Vuitton fragrance, but I did find similarities between the two. But again, like if you're a teen, if you're in your 20s and like, let's say you don't even want the full-size bottle and you just want to get a little travel sample like this, just like throw it in your purse, you'll be good to go. Just apply it right before you go to where you need to be. You know what I mean? All right, next up, we've got, this is probably the most unknown fragrance on this list. It's called Rejoice by Algabra. And this fragrance blew me away. This is like fruity paradise right here. I remember the first time I smelled it, I was at this event, and the guy that sprayed it for me said, oh, this fragrance is going to take you to another world. And when I heard that, no lie, I was kind of jaded, because the whole night when I was smelling a bunch of perfume, that's what everybody was saying about their fragrances. They're like, oh yeah, this is a scent that you've never smelled before. This is a fragrance that like is just so gorgeous that nothing here compares, right? I heard all that jargon and I'm just like, okay, yeah, like give me the fragrance, let me smell it. So I smell this thing and I'm like, holy shit, he's right. This thing smells freaking good. And it is like this. The way that I describe it is, think of the Greek gods and goddesses on Mount Olympus being hand-fed grapes and being fanned by like those big palm tree leaves. That is the whole vibe of this fragrance. Either that or just somebody that's very successful, but also extremely humble. You know, this is not like a very out there, loud, obnoxious fragrance. It definitely makes its presence known, because as you can see on the bottle there, it's an extrait de parfum. So this is a Turkish brand that does 35% perfume concentration. So it does not play when it comes to performance. So if you're somebody that you're like, oh, my favorite perfumes are being reformulated, it doesn't last on me, then get an extrait, and then you will not have to worry about this coming off your skin, off your clothes. It will last on you. But again, this is a niche fragrance. The price point is significantly higher than your typical designer scent. Like how this is $75 at a discount site. This is probably maybe $200, maybe a little bit less than $200. But you can get samples of it if you want. That'd be my suggestion. Just buy a bunch of samples of niche fragrances you're interested in. Then if you want to pull the trigger on a bottle, you can. All right, next up, we got Good Girl by Carolina Herrera. I love this thing, man. Like, this has like 30 notes in it, okay? If I were to go through every single note in this fragrance with you, you'd be bored out of your mind. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense. I remember reading the notes and seeing chocolate, tuberose, like rose, like a bunch of these florals and a bunch of these like vanilla chocolate, all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't smell like that to me. It straight up smells like a clusterfuck of sexiness. Straight up. Like if you go to Sephora, you could spray this on your skin. You'll know what I'm talking about. This is to me like, you know, Pokemon, right? Like how those things, those little animal things evolve. This is like, you know, your youthful era, like your fun, flirty, sexy fragrance. You want it head turning. You want something that's going to have like men weak in the knees. And you start off with Good Girl. And then, you know, you're a woman in your prime. You move over to Mon Guerlain. That is how I see it with these two fragrances. However, I do know there's a lot of moms that own this fragrance, and I get it. This is shit that just makes people freaky. I totally understand why moms would want this, and it's so funny because I talk about this on TikTok, and these girls want to buy it, and they're like, I want it, but my mom got it before me. And I see you, mom. I see you, because this thing bangs. And truly, okay, let me tell you this. So I actually bought this for my sister a couple years ago, and I remember her and my mom were smelling it, and she's like, I like it. And she liked it, but she kind of thought it was okay. She was more intrigued with the presentation of the bottle, right? So both her and my mom are smelling it. They're like, yeah, no, it's all right. And then me and my dad start smelling it, and him and I were just going back and forth like, dude, this smells so good. And in case you're new to my channel, I am a lesbian. So I like these are scents that, yes, they're attractive to men, but also like even for myself, like when I smell these on my girlfriend, it's like game over. Like she has me wrapped around her finger. But this scent, him and I were like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. This goes hard. Like, it's really good. And on top of that, performance is really good here too. But, like, we're talking, like, past 7 hours. But there are a lot of girls that say this does not perform well. But I attribute that to going nose blind to your fragrance. Because I remember when my sister would wear this, we went out, like, we went to this party, like, starting at lunch. We got home at, like, midnight. And she's like, yeah, my fragrance fell off. And I'm like, no, dude, I still smell it on you. So again, going nose blind does not mean your fragrance has completely fallen off your skin or your clothes. But Good Girl, just a no-brainer, sexy fragrance. All right, next, we've got the Queen, Delina by Parfums de Marly. Y'all probably heard this one if you've watched some niche fragrance videos. If you've been TikTok, Instagram, beautiful scent that smells like lychee and rhubarb. So lychee is this exotic fruit that's really juicy, just really intoxicating. And rhubarb is a sour note. Now, to be totally honest with you, skin chemistry is a big thing when it comes to Delina, because when I've worn it on myself, when I've smelled it on other women that I've sprayed this on, I actually gave a bottle of this to my mother. She smells fantastic. It's just all I've ever smelled on this was a lychee on myself and on other women. But I have received DMs from other girls that are saying that it's way too sour. I didn't expect it to be sour. And I attribute that again to skin chemistry. It varies from person to person. You could try smelling it, wearing it on your clothes and see how that performs. But this, easily over 8 hours. And let me tell you, guys just love Delina. Okay, this is something that is an amazing niche fragrance to start with, because not only are you getting a compliment magnet that works for any situation. Like Delina is a fragrance that you can get and you don't have to own anything else. You could just rock with this one. You can wear it at work. You can wear it to school. Of course, like manage the amount of sprays you do depending on where you're going. You don't want to spray way too much of this because it can perform it will perform really well. But it's a chameleon fragrance. Whatever situation you put her in, she's going to be amazing at it, you know? So it's just a one-size-fits-all type of fragrance. On top of that, performance is amazing. Compliment factor is through the roof. So this is just, again, another no-brainer fragrance. Man, that could have been the title of this video. No-brainer perfumes, because all of these bang. Next up, we've got Mancera Instant Crush for the people that want something more sweet. And Mancera Instant Crush has been kind of compared to Baccarat Rouge 540. And I sort of see the similarity. Like, I get a sweet cotton candy vibe with this fragrance as well. I don't find this to be as metallic as people have asked me. They're like, doesn't it smell metallic to you? I don't get that. I really don't. I just get sweetness. That is what I get. Sweet cotton candy is Instant Crush. And this type of DNA has been very popular over these past couple of years. There's been a lot of women that are gravitating towards scents like Baccarat, Instant Crush, Cloud by Ariana Grande, because it just has that scent profile right now that is driving men wild. Like, they just love this scent. And by the way, this is a unisex fragrance. Guys wear this for themselves as well, the ones that are into niche fragrances, not your average guy, but it's good. Like, this is a good scent for sure. And performance past 8 hours. Next, we've got Intense Cafe by Montal. And this is a sweet coffee rose fragrance. Now, the rose is a bit more dominant here. And this can become a little bit synthetic, but it's not annoyingly synthetic. To me, I remember that when I wore this, it smelled like a cup of coffee with just like a bunch of creamer, right? And then just rose petals in that coffee stirred around. That is what I got with Montal. I was going to say Instant Crush, Intense Cafe. But this smell, I remember when I would wear this, and I would wear this in the fall and in the winter time. And when I go out to hang out with people, or if I go to hug somebody, they are always deep sniffing my neck with this fragrance, because it's comforting, it's cozy. And when you think of coffee, what does coffee do? It makes people it makes them addicted, right? It's the same thing with your nose. When it smells coffee, it's like it doesn't want to stop smelling the coffee. And this smells amazing far away, but it also smells amazing the closer and closer you get to it. So this is also just a very easy to love fragrance. And lastly, we got my favorite pineapple scent, Lamar by Kajal Perfumes. And this is sweet pineapple. I have to clarify that, because a lot of pineapple scents are more on the fresh side, but this is my favorite sweet pineapple fragrance. And again, if you're somebody that is really all about performance and you're like, you know what, I'm tired of getting a good perfume, but that shit doesn't last on me, you will have no issues with Lamar. We are talking over 12 hours of performance, and that is being conservative, because this thing can push past 15, no problem. This has an amazing scent trail. So when you're passing by a bunch of people, it will get that head-turning reaction, and it lingers in the room. I remember that I wore this a night before I went out. I sprayed it in my room, came back hours later, and my room still smelled like Lamar. And I remember that I was at this house, right? And I was going through the hallway, and then I went downstairs, and then somebody later on kind of caught up with me, and they're like, by the way, it smells like you in the hallway upstairs. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. So this thing lasts. If you want to make an amazing first impression on somebody, and you want to wear a perfume that is seriously unforgettable, something that just, when they smell it, it's not going to be something that they've ever smelled on anybody else before. And on top of that, it smells really good. It's very sexy. It's mouth-watering. It's just very hypnotizing, entrancing. Lamar by Kajal Perfumes is that girl. It smells so fire. Out of all of these, in terms of performance, I would go, okay, Lamar, Delina performs really well. Rejoice is probably like up there with, well, not probably, this is stronger in performance. Oof, no, these go back and forth. I'm going to give these two at a tie. So these two, Delina, Intense Cafe, and Black Opium, all have really good performance. But again, The discount link for these fragrances is going to be in the description box below. Let me know what your favorite perfume is, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.